Okay, this is going to be a broadcast in English and I need to make sure that I'm going public. So that's going to take a second. And this is for the Facebook company. And let's see, my live stream should be showing up in just a second. There, I'm live and I'm making the live stream public. Save. Okay, so in a brief demonstration right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show how Mark Zuckerberg is interfering in a European election. Mark Zuckerberg is using his platform. It's called Facebook, and I'm on Facebook now, so I think that's kind of an interesting way to present to Facebook this trespass. But basically, Mark Zuckerberg's technology is interfering in European Union democratic processes. I'm going to go ahead and show you why. So here I am. I'm a political candidate for parliament in Latvia. It was a very challenging choice for me to do something like that because I was really only thinking that I would ever go into politics when I reached about 70 years of age. I've got some things that I want to do with my inventions and with my compositions and in my personal life and creating a family center and these types of things. I don't really want to go into politics, but I also don't want to be treated unfairly if I do. And if we look here, I'm going to go ahead and refresh this. This might be people watching. My group activity is restricted as of September 19th, quote unquote, see why. And my posts will be moved lower in feed for 21 days. See why. I shared this on Facebook. It's in review. This is June. This is March. But this is the content is no longer available. Look at that. So on September 19th, I shared my live broadcast from December 2nd. And in this video, here I'm saying a fraudulent pandemic with a fraudulent PCR test, right? Pamata iriagada per slimayam adekvati un jaharste pari yatsai pari mira. Basically, here I'm saying that in a fraudulent pandemic that uses a fraudulent test as its base, right? That we need to take care of sick people adequately. We need to take care of our sick, dying, elderly, right? And we need to leave the rest of society alone. And so I went into a store without a mask on something like the first or second day of these quote-unquote mask mandates. The police came. They didn't really know what they were doing. At least they didn't attack me like they did only a year later. And so they wrote something up and I went home, right? So Facebook is a place where we have a free exchange of ideas. And I guess that there's this, argument, hey, are you allowed to force people to, like, if you own the phone company, are you allowed to force people to only talk about what you want them to be talking about? It's close to 2 years later. That it was a fraudulent pandemic is already settled. That the PCR test, it tests for a fragment of something that you can't even prove that it exists, right? And I mean, we're looking at, this is my facts that I'm sending to you right now. And I'm just going to go ahead to the settling the virus debate. initiative here. This is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14 plus 6, 20. These are 20 doctors and scientists, right? Mark Zuckerberg, I'm allowed to find their evidence more compelling than the evidence supported by you. Like, Mark, you've got whatever, billions of dollars at your disposal. Okay, so find the virus. Settle the virus debate and actually isolate the SARS-CoV-2 virus from the saliva, mucus, sputum, blood, lymph node, or flesh of a living human subject. Right? Because, when we're, I shouldn't have said right? But here's the statement on virus isolation. And that's signed by Sally Fallon Morell, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, Dr. Thomas Cowan, and Dr. Andrew Kaufman. And they're saying we're correct, the SARS-CoV-2 virus doesn't exist. Now, I'm allowed to side with the science that helped me cure my own allergies and that saved my liver from transplant, right? That's the kind of science, and those are the kinds of doctors that actually helped me. So here I am, and I'm saying, you've got a fraudulent test, and Dr. Christian Drosten, I mean, basically, if you try to find he's the inventor of this COVID-19 PCR test, and you can't find his dissertation. You can find people that say that 3 articles were his dissertation. It looks like Dr. Drosten is the definition of a charlatan. You can't find his dissertation. That's his PCR test that everybody's using, right? So basically, I'm saying with a fraudulent test at its base, they weren't allowed to implement a state of emergency, right? And Latvia went into a state of emergency. The consequences for a relatively small country like Latvia with less than 2 million inhabitants, the consequences for implementing a state of emergency based on a fraudulent pandemic, the consequences have been horrifying. I mean, lowest birth rate, close to the highest suicide rate. It's astounding. And I wrote a letter to the Ministry of Health to say, hey, you know what? You should be able to prove mathematically that there was an epidemic or a pandemic in Latvia, and that that there's currently an epidemic or pandemic in Latvia. And now I've written to them saying, hey, find the virus. I've got buyers, right? What happened? I got attacked. I got physically attacked. I was recognized as a restaurant as that guy that sings that song that questions the pandemic, and I got attacked brutally. Okay? So this is me talking to Mark Zuckerberg. And here's my letter to you, Mark. Here it is to Mark Zuckerberg, and it says, I write, that's today, September 27th, 2022. Dude, Mark, you lowering my post visibility is literally you interfering in a foreign election. Oh, it's got a question mark. Shouldn't be a question mark. Should I change it? It should be a period. Anyway, so I shouldn't be, anyway. I'm a candidate in the upcoming parliamentary election in Latvia, and what do you do, Mark Zuckerberg, do? Check this out. Look at you. You restrict my account. What kind of nonsense is this, Mark? Lowering my posts in feed exactly during the pre-election phase through to after the election is criminal. It is. Mark, you're lower. It says it right here. Your posts will be moved lower in feed. My address to Latvia's police was shared on Facebook 2,800 times. My address to the Prime Minister was shared over 1,000 times. 1,000 plus 2,800 is 3,800. let's say half of those people are willing to vote for me, 2,000. Let's be ridiculously lame and say only a quarter of them. It's 1,000 votes, Mark. 1,000 votes means something. And currently you're saying my posts will be moved lower in feed. So you're reducing my visibility as a political candidate. So great. Here it says, yippee, Mark, you are now charged with influencing foreign elections, and I guess I'll put a damages amount of $1 million on your perpetration against me. You want to settle out of court? Give me a call. Write to me or just send me $1 million to dynast@dynast.net. I mean, come on, Mark. You're gonna. It says here your posts will be moved lower in feed for 21 days. I'm a political candidate. You're not allowed to do that. Also, disprove any of what I claimed 2 years ago. The pandemic was faked. Of course, there were deaths. Deaths were repurposed to make it look like there was a pandemic. And because of that, illness was worse. And now death rates are spiking. Okay, but it was because of a faked pandemic and because of injections, right? And the test is it's literally a joke. You can't just take saliva and mix it with monkey kidney, fetal bovine serum, and milk and let the thing rot. And then be like, oh, look, let's investigate that. And then you mix it with acetone, you mix it with dye, and then you like put it in an electron microscope, and you have something that might just be soap bubbles, right? These little round things. And you're like, it's a virus. Look, let's all be afraid. Mark, that's fraud. Right? So here I write that the doctor that sold the PCR test to Europe has faked his dissertation. Okay, Mark, find Dr. Drosten's dissertation. Okay, this says we have, like, you're blocking me for saying that we have to treat our ill with respect. What's pretty much the same thing, both with respect. We have to cherish and respect and honor. We have to treat our ill with honor and respect instead of torturing the rest of society. Is that wrong? You're lowering my results. Okay? Lūdzu dalieties ar šo video. Share. I'm gonna get blocked again anyway, so share as much as you possibly can. I say that masks are harmful. They are, at best. They either do nothing or they're harmful. How can you protect someone against a virus that you can't find? How can you do tests saying that masks help society based on droplet aerosolization when you can't find the virus in saliva or snot, mucus? Distance is clearly harmful. Isolation is a cruel form of punishment. Lockdowns kill more than they save. They have. Clearly, isolation is more harmful than smoking. Okay, Mark Zuckerberg, disprove what I'm writing here. I mean, enter the dialogue of the actual topics at hand. You know, I understand that you declaring whatever you want to be, to whatever you're being told, or I don't know what, find to be disinformation. What you're doing is you're meddling in a European election, which is a crime, Mark Zuckerberg. So I'm going to say on September 28th, this restriction will be lifted. But, you know, he might have already done the damage. What did I say? Ljaune ljaudes, ljaune diene. Stūma tauta lēņā, dieviņš ņēma pierociņas, veda tauta kalniņā. I made that one up. It's in a folk song rhythm. It's saying evil people, evil day, pushed our people down. God took us by the hand and led us up the mountain. I mentioned about the Sturgis motorcycle rally, which clearly proved that COVID wasn't the kind of danger that people were saying over 2 years ago. I'm saying that we needed to not implement a state of emergency in Latvia. Latvia was literally the green zone 2 years ago. Latvia was the healthiest country. There were two, but I don't remember what the other one was. Latvia was in the green zone. One of the healthiest countries in the world 2 years ago. And the kind of destruction that lockdowns and restrictions and masks have caused, it's unfathomable. And it's criminal. And then to suppress the people who are telling the truth, it's like double, triple criminality, right? A list of doctors and scientists. I even list budesonide, the Zelenko protocol, Dr. Chang's protocol with IV vitamin C, and Dr. Shiva's protocol. I list the infection fatality rate for COVID, right? I mean, it's incredible. 0 to 19 years old, 0.00003. That's 0.003%. Before vaccination, we've got, and what Latvia did to the youth is criminal. And to not expose criminality is a tragedy. So here I am exposing criminality, and there's a bunch of studies on masks. It's just incredible how many studies show that mask wearing is either just a tradition or harmful, right? It's incredible when you look at the medical literature, and here's the Nuremberg Code. Here, the Nuremberg Code, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, etc., right? So here you are telling me that me walking into a store, and again, this is material from 2 years ago. I walked into the store, sitting there waiting for the police to come. I could have just gone home, right? I mean, I let them write up a report on me. And now, I think I don't know if that's my group activity or I am lowered. Let's see what this one is. All right, that's why I'm lowered. And why is my group activity restricted? Same thing. Okay, so let's go from left to right here. Here's my unknown fax error. Okay, I'm going to try faxes outbox, because this is me sending you failed. Can it send again? Failed. All right, so this is me trying to send you my letter to this fax number. This is proposal for regulation of the European Parliament and of the Council on a single market for digital services and amending the Directive 2000. Well, this is basically, this is e-commerce, is a bit different. Sorry, here, the task force practice on disinformation. Okay, so with these practices on disinformation, basically, you can't just decide what's true and then call everything else disinformation. That's not scientific. That's ridiculous. That's bullying, right? And that's essentially what big tech is doing. The way to do it is to create a dialogue, to create discourse, and to use the scientific method. And if we're using the scientific method, it is our job as scientists and as citizen scientists And just as normal people, it's our job to question what we're being told. So here we have the 2020 foreign interference in all democratic processes in the European Union, including disinformation. And the thing is that, Sandra Kalniete, she's Latvian, right? Like, Mark, what you're doing here, where was it? Where's Sandra? Okay, so the free expression of ideas, the absolute critical, like it's not just, you're not just critical, you're saying, okay, maybe what you're saying is true, but let's see what I can do to disprove it, and let's see what I can do to maybe prove it. We have a pandemic that was based on fraud. We have people that were made ill by various means, right? We have people that were asphyxiating, most likely due to the way that the electromagnetic frequencies were configured in the microwave soup, that we live in a soup of microwaves, right? In New York, people were dying, and they were being intubated. And the source of their illness and death was misappropriated. I mean, that's evil, right? I mean, it's evil to poison people by, I don't know, spraying them, or by subjecting them to radiation. Giving everybody radiation poisoning and calling it COVID is evil. Now, if you're going to say that what I'm saying is disinformation, it can't be. Why? Because I'm following the actual scientific method. I can make a postulate, I can guess, I can have the global community say, okay, you're right, or okay, you're wrong, or so-and-so thinks you're right, and so-and-so thinks you're wrong. I'm entering the global conversation, and I find the arguments that no one's found the virus. And these three are like, look, the SARS-CoV-2 virus doesn't exist. This group is saying, hey, prove that it exists. I tried to find pictures. And they're pictures from electron microscope slides from the 80s. And then there's cultured pictures, and then there's diagrams. There's cartoons. So scaring people with cartoons is certainly disinformation, right? So as foreign interference on the EU democratic procedures, EU about political ads. What do we have here? EU to take a hard look at foreign interference in its democracy. And citizens of the European Union's 28 member states go to the polls this week to choose their representatives to the European Parliament. It's a bit of a different election, but interference in elections by foreign nationals. This is the U.S. law. But I mean, Mark, don't you think that that European law is going to have something similar, where you're not allowed to lower the posts in the feed based on someone accurately assessing the fraudulent pandemic? So let's see what I still have. Foreign election interference. How do I contact Mark Zuckerberg? And me as a political candidate. So I'm going to close the tabs to the right. If anybody's watching so far, jūs skatotės. I hope you enjoy it. And check out Odyssey, ODYSEE.com. You can check out Dr. Sam Bailey. You can check out Dr. Kaufman. and you can check out a very interesting channel and all called Space Busters. Really kind of very this one over here. Where is it? End of germ theory right under me. Is it there? Because I've got the end of germ theory. I like to read. Scientific studies, look at data, crunch data. But if you don't really have time for data, maybe go ahead and take a look at the end of germ theory by Space Busters.
Virologist Petri dish.
It's amazing. I mean, it's just amazing. This is the Petri dishes. It's just incredible, right? And this is a reasonable. When you start reading what people are calling virology, it's actually a little bit hilarious. Like it's funny how pathetic. It's funny how ludicrous the quote unquote science is. That's of course why we needed to believe in science, because if you actually investigated what they're doing, you'd be like, this is so dumb. It's unbelievable. So, what should I play? No, actually, this. So maybe this will be something that will go down in history. This is the Dynus Mickle. That's me. Mickle's law of virology. It's the law of when you're looking for something in something. So my law here is when you're looking for something in something else, then you have to look for the something that you're looking for in the something that you're investigating. You're welcome, world. So let me repeat Mickle's law of virology. When you're looking for something in something, you have to look for the something that you're looking for in the something that you're investigating. Let's apply that to trying to find your keys. So, if you're trying to find keys in a room, if you're trying to find keys in a room and you go into that room and you don't find keys, then you weren't able to find keys in that room. If you try to find keys in a room, and what you do is you throw all kinds of keys into that room and you just kick them all around, and then you walk into the room again and you find some keys because you just threw in some keys, then you're not looking for the something in the something that you're investigating. You change the something that you're investigating. Just to make that clear to the virologists of the world. So I don't have a cup of anything. No, I do have a cup. I don't know if this is yesterday's. It feels a little bit warm, so maybe there's some coffee in here. So if I'm trying to find out if there's sugar in this coffee, I can take this coffee in here and pour it into something, or I can taste it or whatever, and I can boil it down, and there's sugar in there, right? I can't, if I'm trying to figure out if there's sugar in here, I can't mix this with chicken, monkey kidney, calf blood, and milk, and then measure, because the milk's going to have some sugar in it, right? Like you can't mix stuff into what you're investigating to figure out what's in the thing that you're investigating. Virology. Just to calm things down and try to move virology into a more scientific direction. Okay, so the facts didn't go through. I'm going to send this PDF file to the Facebook email addresses that I have, and my candidacy is being pushed down. I don't have a verb for that right now. Inhibited. My candidacy is being inhibited by Facebook lowering my posts in feed. So Mark Zuckerberg is perpetrating criminal criminal manipulation of foreign elections in the European Union. Yippee! Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.